Welcome to another educational video about screen printing by Catspit Productions. Today's video is a special video. They're always special, aren't they? We're going to do a video on fleece and hoodies today. So I'm just going to give you, I know I did a recent video on quick tips for printing fleece, but today we're going to take a look at the printing of the fleece and doing hoodies with zippers and using a zipper palette. Okay, so you're going to need a couple things for this. First off, you're going to need a zipper palette or a zipper board. This is a palette that actually has a groove that's routed out of the center of the palette, if that's the proper way of saying it. This groove, you know, this is a 3/4 inch MDF palette with the bracket, and it hooks onto my Vista press like a normal palette. The only difference is it has this groove down the middle for the zipper on the hoodies, okay? And we're going to take a look at that. For this demo video today, I am going to use some web adhesive, and these are the two web adhesives that I have available at catspitscreenprintsupply.com. We've got the Albachem web adhesive, and we also have Rhinotech green user-friendly web adhesive, okay? So it's important that you have a web adhesive, palette tack. We're going to use a little clear packing tape, and we're also going to use some palette tape. But before I go on, the mandatory Catspit plug. Okay, so remember to use the catspitscreenprintsupply.com website if you need screen printing equipment or supplies. If you have any questions about screen printing, you can use YouTube, but I encourage you also to use the Catspit Learn How to Screen Print forum, which you can find at catspitproductionsllc.com. And don't forget to check out everything there is to see on catspitproductionsllc.com. We've got a lot of videos that are up there in categories. We've got all the articles, there's tips and advice, there's web links to other do-it-at-home, homebrew type screen printing situations for the hobbyist. And of course, we offer a complete line of screen printing equipment and supplies at catspitscreenprintsupply.com. And remember, all your support in any way, using the forum, subscribing to the channel, rating thumbs up, commenting, or making purchases on catspitscreenprintsupply.com, all of that goes to help support the continued production of educational videos that are free to the world right here on YouTube, and of course all the educational material that's on the catspitproductionsllc.com website. Okay, so thanks again for all of your support, all of your time and attention. I really appreciate that. And now it's time to get down to business. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to prep the palette. I got to get some palette tape on there, and I'm going to use a combination of palette tape and the clear packing tape because we've got the zipper groove down the middle of the palette. So in order to make this work out and easy to remove, I'm going to split the palette tape in two and use packing tape down the center of the zipper groove itself, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down two pieces of clear packing tape into the zipper groove. I'm going to do one on each side because the one piece won't fit the whole thing. And you know, this, you know, depending on the packing tape you're using, this may want to pull up a little bit at times when you're printing, but what this is going to do is this is going to keep this groove, which is bare, it's bare MDF. I'm going to try to keep it clean of anything, because if I you know, if, look, that one's a little short. If I'm going to try to clean this with solvents, this groove is going to absorb a lot of stuff. Okay, let's see if this one's long enough here. Okay, so I'm just trying to cover the groove, and you know, it's not the most perfect scenario. And I tabbed it up here so I can pull from under here and pull the thing out really easily. Okay, and probably the critical point is making sure your tape is somewhat smooth, you know, on the edge of the groove, but inside here is not so critical. Alright, so I just laid down a little tape in there. Now I'm going to try to get some palette tape on here. We'll put a piece across the whole thing, and we're going to cut it in the middle so it'll go in the groove. Now I have this piece of palette tape on here. I got it down pretty smooth. The fleece, you know, I have a couple of wrinkles here in my tape, And you know, for fleece, there's a little bit of cushioning, so this really isn't going to be a problem. With a t-shirt, this could actually show up in the texture of your print. But on fleece, I've got it's a little bit more forgiving. So I'm going to cut this down the middle so that now I can inset the pallet tape on each side into the groove. Okay, so there it is. So now you can just go ahead and fold your pallet tape down however you like. Okay, and you know, you may or may not want to do this depending on your pallet, your zipper pallet, if you want to cover it or just use it bare. That's really personal preference, and that's up to you. Because the covering, you know, can sometimes, on a longer run with lots of spray tack, you might have to do this a couple times. Okay, so there we go. I'm pretty set right now, and I could draw some pallet lines on here if I wanted to. So let's do a couple quick pallet lines. So we know that the center of the pallet is in the zipper groove, so I don't need a center line, but I just did these lines so I can throw my screen up here and kind of eyeball it and get it straight to the pallet. I have the basic setup ready, but now I have to adjust the off contact. Off contact for fleece is going to be different than your off contact for t-shirts because the fleece is thicker. It is a higher buildup off the pallet than a t-shirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this hoodie onto the pallet and I'm going to adjust my off contact, okay? So we're going to skip that part to make this video a little bit quicker, but please note that you have to adjust your off contact. Off contact is different from t-shirts to hoodies or sweatshirts because of the thickness of the material. So you're going to want to adjust that off contact. Now, in a run where you're running t-shirts and hoodies in the one deal and you have it all set up for t-shirts and then you run a couple hoodies, you may just want to wing it and not even bother with the off contact. It may or may not be a problem, but you know, sometimes people order a run of t-shirts and then throw in a couple of hoodies, and it's not worth kind of, you know, resetting up everything. Unless it's on a zipper board, then maybe you reset all the off contact. But if it's just a regular crew neck sweatshirt, you could throw it on the pallet and probably just run it. But today, I'm going to load this onto the pallet and adjust my off contact while the sweatshirt is on the pallet, so I know that my off contact is adjusted for the heavier garment. Okay, so I just realized I set up the back print for the zipper side, which you know, we're going to use the back print, but for the zipper side with the zipper hoodie, I'm just doing a left chest, okay? And the whole concept of the zipper pallet is so that the zipper falls into the groove and leaves you with a flat surface, so that the screen comes down and lays down here flat. And it also may allow you to print over the zipper in some situations, okay? But today, I'm doing a left chest and a full back print. So I have a left chest on here, and this is something that's really cool about rear clamps. You can see here that the rear clamp is very dynamic because here I'm actually taking a piece of artwork that is on this side of the screen. It's on the right side, but I want to make it a left chest, so I'm loading the screen off center here. So I've got the screen bumped over here so that when it goes into reg, the crest is in this position over here. So you'll notice that when we print this, you'll notice this screen here is kind of half out. And that's because the rear clamp allows you to do this kind of thing. It's very dynamic. That's why I like rear clamps a lot. Okay, so I have everything set up, I think, at this point. I've got my little left chest. I've got my full back. I've got everything set up. Now, you know, at this point, we got to spray some web tack on the pallet. And remember to check out the quick tips video that I did for quick tips on printing fleece, because I'll probably forget to reiterate those through this video. But at this point, you might want to pre-shrink your hoodies or your sweatshirts by running them through the dryer before you print, so that you get out any of the extra humidity out of the sweatshirts, okay? And today we actually have 100% cotton fleece, and we do have a 50-50 cotton poly-cotton blend. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray tack. We're going to get the web tack down on here. We want to spray that. We want to allow it to tack up, give it a few minutes to tack up. I'm going to run my sweatshirts through the belt oven to pre-shrink and dehumidify. All right, and then we're gonna do I'll do a couple quick test prints, and then we'll get the hoodies and sweatshirts down here and we'll just start printing them. Okay, so I'm going to try some of this Albacam premium web adhesive. We're not doing any flashing today, so it's just a regular web. So we're going to spray both sides pretty well. I'm not going to really worry about the zipper groove too much because it'll get in there anyway. Okay, so you see how I kind of letting that string out over there. And you know, you got to be careful not to put too much, but not too little. And now we're going to let this tack up. It has to dry and tack up. If you throw a sweater on here right now, a sweatshirt on here right now and start printing, when you pull it up, it's going to pull up most of this adhesive on the inside of the shirt. So you got to let it tack up nice before you start printing. All right, so I got all the test prints done. We pre-shrunk. We're ready to check out how to load these hooded sweatshirts, because basically a sweatshirt without the zipper or anything is going to be the same thing as a t-shirt. Okay, it's just that you're using web tack and you want to watch the roll on the pallet as you print. Okay, also with fleece, some of the knit on fleece, whether it's hoodies or crew neck sweatshirts, some of the knit is very tight and the ink has a tendency to sit on top of the fleece a lot more so perhaps than a t-shirt. You know, it's just a weird thing that I've noticed with a lot of sweatshirts, not all of them, but a lot of sweatshirts, it seems that the print, it takes the print a little bit differently. It's actually nice. It takes it a lot nicer in some ways. Sometimes the sweatshirt knit can be gaping and it may affect that, but you may notice that plastisol ink sits a lot more on top of the knit with a fleece for some reason, and it may be, you know, maybe the knit that's going on there. So let's load one of these on here, one of these zipper hoodies, and see if we can print the crust. Okay, so I don't know how tacky this is. You could actually use a rag shirt and load it and then pull it off to make sure that you're not going to get a bunch of this tack on here, which, you know, could be a good idea. But I'm just doing some samples today, so I don't care, right? Okay, so loading the zipper hoodie is basically the same as anything else. We're going to load it, get it in the center. We're going to have your neck or collar up here, and then we're simply just going to push the zipper into the groove. And that's about it. And what it does is it just makes it so that the screen is going to come down relatively flat onto this hoodie now. Okay, so that's basically all it is. And these little pockets down here might cause you a little bit of a issue, but now the zipper's in here, or most of it, and we should be able to print this crust. Let's take a look at the height. Let's see the positioning here. I think I'm going to bring the sweatshirt down further, because right now I can't move the pallet. And, you know, the artwork on the screen I did not set up to print this job. It was from something else, so I got to make the adjustments like this. Okay, if you were setting this job up, you would set it up so that the artwork is in the right spot, right? Yeah, that's a little better. Okay, so see, now we're ready to go ahead and print the crust. And that's it. Just a little crust print here. Let's try it out. And that's basically it. Okay, it's getting a little warm in the shop here. I've got this crew neck. I can print the crew neck crust right on the zipper hoodie palette as well, because it's you know, it doesn't matter. I'm not printing the whole front. I'm just doing the crust. So I'm going to throw this right on the zipper hoodie palette and do the crust, even though this is not a zipper hoodie. Alright, so for the back of these sweatshirts, I'm just winging it on a bare palette. I put down some of the web tack, and we're just going to do the back print. This might be able to show you a little bit how the ink prints. It's a little bit different than t-shirts. And you want to make sure the sucker is spray tacked well, because of that fleece, and when you squeegee, this can have a tendency to roll. So that's why we use the web tack, and we tack it down really good. Okay, and you might be able to see this. Let me check my height. It's a little high. Let me just adjust that. Okay, something like this. And Now you might be able to see the way this prints, the way it goes through the screen here. Pay attention. It's a little bit different. You have like this cushy surface that you're printing on, and the ink just likes to sit on top a lot. Okay, so here we go. It's sitting on top a lot. I still haven't filled all the knit and everything, so let me try to hit this again. Okay, we'll do a nice slow. Now that should do it, and you can see that. Do you see how that is? How that looks there? That's because of the fleece. Okay, so that's it. I mean, you don't even, I mean, it's a buildup of ink just by itself. So this one's done. Let's get it off. Something else to remember, which I kind of, because I'm doing the video, I wasn't paying attention. But when you put these things through your belt dryer, make sure they're flattened and they're not touching the heating element. Because look, I burned this one. This one went through, and this part of the hoodie was touching the heating element when it went through and it got burned. Okay, so you got to be aware of that when you're laying these on the belt. Make sure that they're really flat and they don't, you know, the hoodies especially. Now on a hooded thing, you might drop the design a little bit low, but don't go too low because it'll look funny. Okay, one more. Should do it. Okay, that's good. So printing fleece is very similar to printing t-shirts, except that we have a couple things to consider. We have to adjust our off contact. We need to use a zipper pallet when we're doing hoodies. We use web tack in order to take the fleece and attach it to the pallet. Also note that the fleece itself is going to be coming off a lot quicker onto the pallet. You'll have to do pallet tape changes a lot more frequently than you will with t-shirts. Watch for that roll as the squeegee as you print. You know, when you print, if you're experiencing a roll in the sweatshirt, you need more web tack. Pre-shrinking is good. Make sure you pre-shrink. And also, you know, watch how much you work the ink on the sweatshirt, because again, you should notice that it tends to sit on top of the shirt a lot more than a t-shirt. Okay, so also make sure that you check out my quick tips video for quick tips on printing fleece, because that may give you more actual tips than I gave you today. I don't know, today this was kind of an impromptu video, and I just kind of wung it today a little bit, so I'm not sure, you know, you tell me, was this a good video? Was this a good video? Anyway, I hope it was. I hope you enjoyed what I could do today with this. If you like what you see, please remember to rate, thumbs up, please subscribe. Check out CatSpitScreenPrintSupply.com, and we'll see you next time.